Welcome to the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to World Wave Radio, where we bring the world to you. Chances are the reason why you are not getting the best out of your compressor is probably because you are using the wrong compressor for the wrong job. What this video aims to do for you is to show you a better way, or better still, teach you which compressor is right for which job, which compressor do you need to use for which job. It is important for us to know exactly the type of compressor that we need to use for a specific task in mind. So yeah, without said, let's get straight into the video. Welcome back to the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said in the intro before, it is important for us to know the type of compressor to use to achieve a desired result. So this class will be looking at 4 major types of compressor used commonly in the audio production world, which are FET compressors, tube compressors, optical compressors, and VCA compressors. They all aim to do something, which is control or modify the dynamics of a signal. They all do this in different ways, whether it's using tube, transistors, lights, and photodiodes. And this results in different sounds. We'll start by taking a listen to the FET compressor, in particular the most popular FET compressor ever made in the world, the 1176 limiting amplifier. Compressors like the 1176 are known for their fast attack time, as fast as 20 microseconds. So let's start by listening to a FET compressor on a drum. Like I said before, FET compressors are known for their fast attack time, which can provide punch and bold sounds. So you listen to what it was doing to the drum, even with it on 000, it's still providing us with such punch to the drums. Let's listen to what 1176 is doing, and when we turn it off. Now off. Put it on. So the best way you want to do this is to ensure that you have your attack to the slowest and then your release to the fastest. So if you have a particular thing that you like, you can now start dialing the attack and release to the level you want, to a particular thing you want. Another way you can do it is you can overdo it. So let's say I want to go into the compressor really hard, so I increase my input. The mix knob here can help us dial it in a little bit of compressed and a little bit of uncompressed. So let's see what that does. Be careful, this might be too loud. You see? Let's listen to before and after for this as well. To help you really hear what it's doing, please listen for the to the room mic. Listen to the room mic. See how it brings that up to add extra body. And this is no EQ, nothing going into the drum. One important thing to note is that tube compressors are much more slower to respond to the incoming signal than, let's say, a FET compressor. This means that all transients are preserved. It means all your everything that hits first. They are great to use on mixes, subgroups, as they provide what many producers and engineers like to call warmth. You hear things like warmth, like glue. Due to the circuit topology, they have really good sound. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like. You can see how much flavor it adds. It almost sounds like you can hear an EQ there. It almost sounds like there's an EQ, to the sound. Provides an overall pleasing sound to it. but it's the circuitry that is introducing extra sound that is pleasing to hear. You can hear the circuitry introduces, like, it sounds like, oh, maybe we're boosting maybe the high a bit and maybe the low a bit to compensate, but it's really the circuitry is all done by the compressor. And the thing is, you can use this on a single track as well. You can use it on a vocal, maybe after like a after a faster compressor. You can add it to, you can use it to smoothing the average signal, And one more thing to mention is possibly one of the most famous and iconic tube compressors, or very mu or delta mu, whatever you want to call it, out there is the Fairchild Model 760. To be honest, there's quite nothing compared to the hardware, since I think I used the hardware once before in a studio in London when I went for Spotify's camp. When I went for Spotify's camp, since then I've been hooked to the Fairchild. And yes, nothing sounds like it. None of the plugins, not even the universal audio ones. Nothing sounds like it. But hopefully it gets there soon. It does not mean that we can still try it out. We'll try out the way it sounds with the software now. I have the one closest to it is still the universal audio one. Yeah, so the software is just to give you an idea what you could achieve with such a beastly compressor. So let's see what it sounds like. You can see how it brings the sound forward, smoothing out everything, and creates like a beautiful character to the whole mix, to the sound I'm using. So an important thing to note about a tube or a very MU, they have slow attack and release that provides mix glue, smooth compression but very obvious saturation, adds warmth, low end and brightness to the whole entire mix. So there's really no way to explain it but for you to just try it out yourself. You can hardly overuse this type of compressor, but of course everything can be overused. But yeah, the more you do, the more beauty you hear, until you can no longer hear the beauty. When we talk about optical compression, these have a highly unusual circuit design where the audio signal is like an electric current, causes a light to glow at varying intensity. The light is being detected by a photocell, and the resulting current is used to determine the gain reduction applied. As we all know, the speed of light is extremely fast, but in this case, the bulb or LED doesn't react quickly to the transient. This allows optical compressor to have a unique attack and release behavior, where the attack and release time changes in a non-linear fashion. In a non-linear fashion means, in a layman's term, means it does not react immediately, effectively, the way you would expect it to react. That is why you see on the most famous compressors, optical compressors like the LA2A, they only have gain reduction and input. So the gain reduction, the amount that you want going into the compressor and the amount that you want to take out of the compressor, if that makes sense. This compressor is a great choice if you want to compress based on the average signal and not necessarily what the peaks or the transients are doing, like a vocal, for instance. So let's listen to what it sounds like on a vocal. So many times with the fire, but I know say for it, for holiday body. I know so many times I apologize after you say I no go do what I do again, but you know say I don't lie again. But oh my Amarachi no kill the person. Amarachi fe fuck more your mini setting. Oh my Amarachi, Amarachi no kili blessing, Amarachi fe fogmo your minisetina. You can see that even though we're seeing like a reduction of about -10, you know, -10, -15 when the thing is intensive, is not affecting the peak. You get like a tube compressor or a FET compressor would. So that brings us to the final compressor, which is the VCA compressor. The VCA compressor is definitely my favorite compressor out of all the compressors, and you'll find out in a bit. VCA stands for voltage controlled amplifier. So VCA compressor is really versatile because VCA compressor can emulate all the other compressors while still retaining its own original sound. SSL, API, and Neve, they all make world famous compressors. The same design used in most of the mastering compressors. They can both sound clean and transparent sonically, if you know what I mean. You can both use this one as a single track because of the character, how clean and how transparent it sounds. You can use it to control the dynamics without adding noticeable coloration. Do you understand? So let's listen to what it sounds like here. Without. Listen to what it's doing to the peak. Listen to how ta ta. Listen to the ta 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 ta. How it's taming those sounds properly. Let's listen again. This is without. Can you see how smooth, how it sounds like butter? See, the character of the compressor is different from the other ones, because this one you can go really hard and it will not sound really hard, and you can go really subtle. Do you understand? And you will still be able to feel like everything that is doing. So you can see how it increases the character of the music without adding noticeable coloration. Something for you to take home from VCA compressor is VCA compressor are transparent tools for controlling dynamics without adding noticeable color or tone. VCA's compressor offer the most flexibility over attack and release. It can often sound the most transparent, and because of this, it is great for individual tracks. It is great for master, and it depends on the design. It can also add a lot of saturation. It depends on the design. Remember, I said VCA compressor also tried to model the 3 other compressors that we mentioned, which is the FET, the optical, and the tube. It can behave like them. So let's listen to what it sounds like on another type of instrument. See how clean and subtle that sounds. You know, those are the kind of sounds I want to hear. So yeah, you can see how clean and subtle that is. That is the work of a VCA compressor. Yes, so I hope this video would help you to know exactly the type of compressor that you are going for when you are looking at using the compressor, so that you will know exactly what compressor you are using and what dial you are dialing in for your compressor. So you are not just using the compressor because you want to use a compressor. So another thing I don't think I've mentioned like since the beginning of this video is do not rely on the VU meter to help you see or understand what's going on. It's a good way for a start, but it's best if you start relying on your ears. Be the thing. Try a compressor. A compressor doesn't mean one is louder than one. A compressor means you are getting the most dynamics of what you are trying to do. So it's not really about, oh, I've compressed this. A lot of beginner has a general misconception about, oh, I compressed this sound, then it's louder. No, compressing doesn't mean loud. It doesn't always translate into loudness. It's just, as a matter of fact, most times when you compress, the signal going in and coming out should be the same level. should be the same volume. What do I mean? Let's go back to what we were working on. So see this. Listen when I turn it off. It's almost as though you can't hear anything increase in volume. Let's turn it on. Yeah, so that spike is what I controlled in this one. See the spike, the transient was hitting, so it just, instead of having it pointy like this, instead of having it pointy like this, you just round it off so it looks something like this. So this is not hitting the ceiling. That's how you achieve maximum loudness, so this is not hitting the ceiling. Oh, if you've not seen my video about compressor, please go see that. It will give you like a better understanding of what I'm explaining here. So yes, with that said, if you found any of these things I've mentioned helpful, please like the video, subscribe for more stuff like this. And yeah, is there any other thing? Yeah, nothing. So I'll see you in the next class. Love.